Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. And just for the people watching at home, that last speech is what can happen if you don't prepare before giving a speech. You end up standing up and giving a grab bag of things that you've recently read on Twitter. Now, there's some people who want to ban social media for under 16s. I think it'd be good to ban it for that member so he could focus on delivering on his actual speech. Now, Madam Speaker, I wanted to take a call on this bill because I think it is so important. And the previous iteration of bringing together this government, the ACT Party negotiated that the government would amend the Public Service Act 2020 to clarify the role of the public service, to drive performance and to assure accountability to deliver on the agenda of the government of the day. And there'll be people out there who would think, isn't that what the public service is supposed to do? Shouldn't the law say that if you work in a government department, your job is to serve the people that the public elected to run the government and have people put in jobs to do that because they're the best person to do it? There'd be a lot of people who would be surprised that this was even necessary until they heard the speeches from the opposition, who seem to think that this is some terrible catastrophe. We even heard the Green members say that the bill requires the public service to serve the public and, quote, that's a problem. So, Madam Speaker, to understand what has gone wrong here, the previous government in the 2020 Public Service Act decided that instead of serving the elected government of the day to deliver quality services efficiently and affordably for the taxpayer so you can get your healthcare and get your education and get your infrastructure, they decided that actually the public service would be a vehicle for a whole lot of other internal political projects. And there's some people out there who call that DEI. In other words, they decided that the identity politics of the government was more important than serving the elected government and delivering the services that taxpayers paid for. And that's why I'm proud to be standing for a bill that is going to make those very obvious things that people probably thought that government departments were already supposed to do, to actually put them into the law. And it's also the solution to a riddle, a considerable riddle. You see, Madam Speaker, over the 6 years of the previous government, they managed to take government spending from $86 billion a year up to $138 billion a year. They managed to spend an extra $60 billion, almost an 80% increase in government spending. They took the number of people in the public service from 47,000 up to over 60,000. And if you went back and asked an ardent left-wing voter back in the days of 2017, if we were to increase spending by 60%, and increase the size of the public service by another 15,000 people, increase the public service by about a third, would that solve all the problems? Would that get rid of poverty? Would that put people in houses? Would that get the infrastructure built? I mean, surely for another 60 billion we could solve all the problems. And the amazing thing is they spent all that money and actually they didn't solve all the problems. In fact, many of them, whether it's school attendance, whether it's the state of infrastructure, whether it's the state of the healthcare system, they actually managed to spend more money and make things worse. And part of the reason for that is revealed in the need for this legislation, that we had a Labor government, predominantly, with some outriggers, who decided that using the public service as a vehicle for identity politics mattered more than delivering for the people who paid the bill and paid their taxes by serving the elected government of the day. And so today, with this legislation, we bring the answer to the riddle. It is part of a movement that I believe is spreading around the world, that people are just sick and tired of being told that what happens in your life was determined long before you were born, that you're either a victim or a villain written in a script that you have no control over. Instead, the tide that is coming in right around the world is the simple idea that each of us are deserving of equal dignity, to use our time on earth to make the most positive difference that we possibly can for ourselves, those we care about immediately around us, and our wider community. And this bill is just a little part of that movement to hire on merit, to deliver for the democratically elected government of the day so that people can choose to use their time on earth to flourish in their own self-chosen way. Madam Speaker, I commend this bill to the House.
The member's time is over.